Patrick Netherton Show, 11:30 The Tiger. He's Rogers. I'm Patrick. Hope everyone is doing well, and we are pleased to welcome in the president and CEO of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Foundation to talk about the recently just announced class that is going in this coming year to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. He is Ronnie Rantz. Not only was he a terrific pitcher back in the day, he does a great Skip Bertman impression. And he also does some okay work with the Hall of Fame while he's at it. Ronnie, what's up, brother?
How you been, man?
I'm good. I'm good. You got the class announced. Before we get into the class itself, let's back up for a little bit. What's this been like when you basically had to kind of shoehorn two classes in over the course of 2 months because of missing 2020? So you had to put in the 2020 class, then you had to put in the 2021 class, all while getting ready to vote on and get the 2022 class put together. What's this been like over the last really 3-4 months?
Yeah, it's definitely been a whirlwind. You know, people out there may think, well, what's the big deal? You know, you have, well, the big deal is that we have 8 events over the course of 3 days honoring these Hall of Famers, and we're with thousands of people participating in those events over the course of that weekend. And you're doing that twice in 60 days. I mean, any one of those events, it'd take a committee months to just pull off, and instead we're doing 8 of them in 3 days. So that's why it's a bigger task than what it just sounds like when you say those words. But it definitely is something, Patrick, I don't ever want to do again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm glad we did it. It was a necessity. It's how we worked around COVID, and we didn't want to do a virtual induction or any of that with a lot of nonprofits and a lot of Hall of Fame things did around the country. We didn't want to take away that experience for these Hall of Famers, and and we wanted to pull off the event. So we did the best we could, and now I'm looking forward to, hopefully, knock on wood, getting back to a little bit of a normal timeline of events for next summer, next June, the last weekend in June, where we honor our 2022 class.
I kind of buried the first question that I wanted to ask, and that is why were y'all so afraid of our bowling team that you moved the event from Shreveport to Alexandria for the 21 class?
Well, we wanted to share the wealth a little bit, Patrick.
I got you.
The 2020 class, which Kent Lowe and Tim Brando, it was their hometown, Shreveport, so we had the Hall of Fame bowling celebrity event in Shreveport in June, and then we went back to Alexandria. We normally do it. And by the way, our Shreveport's own Kent Lowe won the celebrity division.
Nice.
He did take home the crown. He bowled much better than he did in Shreveport. But anyway, it was a lot of fun, and that's one of the best events, man. It's kind of a sleeper event. It gets kind of put in the middle of the calendar of the 3 days and celebrity bowling event. And some people think, oh, that sounds nice. And then they come away from it and just had such a great time. I know you and your team did as well.
Yeah, well, Rogers, Rudy Macklin's over there just kind of hanging out after it's all over. And Rogers is like, I love Rudy Macklin. Like he was the guy. And I'm like, well, let's go talk to him. Oh, no, I don't want to bother him. Rogers is super polite. Doesn't want to bother anybody. I'm like, look, that's what this event is about. It's an opportunity because,
right.
The celebrities understand what this is. And there's going to be a chance for you to go in and mingle and see these guys. And it was, I got to talk to Stromile Swift for a little bit. And Rogers got to hang out with Rudy Macklin. Like, that's what these events really are, Ronnie, is opportunities for the general public to be able to interact with these guys in a not so formal setting.
You're right. And, for me, the August event where we inducted the 2021 class, we had people like Marcus Colston. I'm a giant Saints fan. My brother literally owns one jersey. He's not a jersey guy, but it's a Colston jersey. And, Glenn Dorsey, of course, was an unbelievable LSU player and NFL player, and Ricky Weeks, Golden Spikes Award winner in college baseball, and then won a All-Star with the Brewers. It's an opportunity for those guys. And Marcus Colston, his nickname's Quiet Storm by his teammates because he really didn't ever say much, and he wasn't a great interview during his playing days. But I guess now that he's done playing, he's much more approachable. He was fantastic with the media, smile on his face, signed every autograph, and it was a lot of fun, I think, for not only the people that get a chance to meet these Hall of Famers, but also the Hall of Famers themselves.
How nice was it for you personally, handling the 21 class when you didn't have to worry about your microphone getting stolen?
This is true.
That's a little inside joke for
right.
Rogers more than anyone. Just so everyone knows, that joke is for Rogers for more than anyone else. Ronnie, let's talk about the 22 class because, kind of on the heels of 2021 going in so quickly, you come back out and you got the new class that's there. Jari Evans that played for the Saints, Kyle Williams that all of us up here in North Louisiana know. And then you get some my favorite part of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame induction is getting to know and appreciate folks that I didn't know or have heard of before. Like we all know Jari Evans, we all know Kyle Williams, we all know Tony Robichaux, but being able to induct a gymnast that was a three-time national champion in Susan Jackson and a softball All-American, that kind of thing. To me, that's sort of the fun of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is getting to meet and know and see these athletes who were absolute stars and obviously Hall of Famers that maybe we didn't get to know when they were playing.
Right. I mean, obviously we know the basketball, football, baseball, big names and celebrities from Louisiana, but do you know who the greatest volleyball player is or the greatest golfer or the greatest rodeo guy or, bass fisherman, and that's kind of what you get a lot of times. There's some rules in place when we put together our 8 or 9 person selections each year where you can't have more than 3 people from one category. And if you have 3 from one category, you can't have more than 1 from any others. And so, that way you don't have 8 football players or 8 basketball players or whatever. There's diversity and there's Olympic sports and all that. And so in our 2022 class, we have 9 Hall of Famers that were inducted. 3 of them, unfortunately, are deceased, one of them being a UL baseball coach, Tony Robichaux. Also Eric Andelsek, who was a fantastic football player on offensive line for the LSU in the 80s, mid-80s, and then went on to play for the Detroit Lions and blocked for Barry Sanders in the late 80s, early 90s. Barry Sanders, called him the greatest offensive lineman he played with. And then, unfortunately, tragically, was hit by a truck and killed down in South Louisiana while he was with the Lions. And so he, Ruffin Rodrigue, his good best friend growing up, was a guy who wore me out for 5 years trying to get Eric Andelsek into the Hall of Fame, and unfortunately, the former LSU Tiger Ruffin Rodrigue passed away in the last year, and so I couldn't make that call to tell him. And I thought about him like crazy the day that we picked him. But so Eric's going in, and then Dr. One of the great boxers that we had,
Dr. Eddie Flynn,
Louisiana.
Yeah,
Dr. Eddie Flynn. Dr. Eddie Flynn went to Loyola for 4 years in the 30s and won a gold medal in boxing back then. And you think, okay, well, that's cool. How about this? The United States did not win another gold medal in boxing for 20 years after Dr. Flynn did it. So that gives you an idea of what a special accomplishment that was. And so, somebody like that goes in, and then you've got the diversity of, Brittany Sneed on the volleyball side, and Susan Jackson, as you mentioned, as the greatest gymnast in LSU history, and then Coach Duplashan at Episcopal, over 60 state championships in track and field, and he's 6th all-time in the United States in state championships. So those are cool. But my favorite story, Steve Duhan, who's going in, he's in the World Rodeo Hall of Fame, greatest rodeoer from the state of Louisiana, grew up in Opelousas, went to Opelousas Catholic, became a LSU football player and earned a starting job in the early 80s at LSU as a football player, as a linebacker. Ended up becoming a starting linebacker his freshman year, which is an unbelievable accomplishment, particularly even back then.
Yeah.
They didn't really do that as much. He said after his freshman year at LSU, I'm good. He got dropped out of playing LSU football, wanted to go chase his first love, rodeoing, and became a Hall of Fame rodeoer. and
you had
that's just an unbelievable story.
You had a similar story to that with the Duck Dynasty, right? From Phil. Yeah, because he was the legendary story is, of course, he was ahead of Bradshaw at Louisiana Tech, and then he got decided he wanted to go and hunt ducks and be an outdoorsman and a sportsman, and Bradshaw took over. So you kind of find those stories. Now, I will tell you this, much like you mentioned, Ruff and Rodrigue coming after you about Andelsek, I'm gonna be on you about Rogers Hampton Sr. Just so you know, we got to get Rogers Hampton Sr. in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. He's in every other Hall of Fame he's eligible for, so we got to get him in. I'm just saying.
This year we had Patrick 150 people nominated. We narrowed the field down to about 65 at the meeting, with online voting and stuff like that. And so we basically debated about 65, 70 people in Baton Rouge a couple of weeks ago, and to get the 9 that we have.
Yeah.
And boy, it's so tough because honestly, you could easily have any of those 65.
Right. I mean, you could put 20 in a year. And you wouldn't run out of quality candidates. I do want to ask you a question, though, because you mentioned the Episcopal High cross country coach, track and field coach, Claney Duplashan, and you mentioned the fact that he's going in. He's still active as a coach.
Correct.
Now that's to me one of the interesting things. Is I know there is provisions for someone going in while they're still active. Obviously, Nick Saban was going to be in, but the schedules kind of messed that up a little bit. Kind of walk me through when someone is still an active coach or player or whatever, the opportunities for them to be able to go in that way.
Well, the rules are really simple. If you're a coach, you have to be 60 years of age or have 3 years removed from retirement. So you could go in if you're under 60 years old, if you're 3 years removed from retirement, but obviously coaches usually coach beyond 60. So once you turn 60, if you're an active coach, you're eligible to go in. And I think the thought process is once people start getting over 60, things can happen, right? People can have health issues, and you don't want to kick the can too far down the curve. You don't want to say, well, let's wait to they retire, and then who knows? Let's not wait. Once they're eligible, and now you start comparing them against other people that are eligible. So that's where a guy like Claney Duplashan, who's over 40 years coaching high school track and all at Episcopal, is eligible, even though he's still a track coach and over 60 state championships he's won. On the same side, if you're an athlete, if you're not a coach, if you're an athlete, if you're over 50 and you're still participating, you're eligible. And that rule is mainly for golfers.
Right.
Something like a Hal Sutton or David Toms or somebody like that, because golfers can, with the Champions Tour and all, can golf to their 70 potentially. So that's why that rule's in place. Nobody really expected Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
Right.
Who's playing in the 3-on-3 league and made it to the championship game in the Bahamas and had to do his induction speech remotely because they made it to the finals on the same day as our new 2021 date because of COVID. And clearly you don't expect baseball, football, basketball players to be playing in their 50s. That was just an unbelievably rare exception, and good for him.
Yeah, you almost had to rename it the Drew Brees rule. He was getting on up there. Brady's going to be the one that probably plays when he's 50. Talking to Ronnie Rantz, the president and CEO of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Foundation, as the 2022 class has been announced as of this morning. I do want to, a little bit off topic here, though, is I do want to ask you, were you disappointed that when the Skip Burtman documentary came out, you were not asked to do any Burtman voiceover work?
I was not. I was pleasantly happy to be in the documentary. I thought it was an awesome documentary. Clearly, I'm biased,
sure.
Right? And the documentary, for those that haven't seen it, it's called Hold the Rope. Go find it on the ESPN app or whatever. Where it's unbelievable. It's an hour-long documentary. I think it's 52 minutes plus commercials, and it's well worth it. And the thing that I wanted, obviously, this is the thing that, Coach Burtman's 82 years old. He'll be 83 in May, and we know about him in Louisiana. He's a legend. But the guy in New York City, the guy in Chicago, the guy in Los Angeles, who doesn't know who Coach Burtman is, this documentary was created for those people. And I thought it did a fantastic job of telling his life story and really just getting the message across what a legend he is and why he is. such a legend. I thought it was an amazing documentary. They worked on it for about 2.5 years and spent about $500,000 on it.
It was very, very well done, as you mentioned. By the way, have you had a chance to chat with Jay Johnson yet? And any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the new LSU coach came from Arizona for the coach of Tigers in baseball. I have. I've spent some time with him. We've got some common friends. His mentor, his Skip Bertman, is a guy named Rich Hill. Rich Hill was the head coach at San Diego, University of San Diego, for 21 years, where Jay spent time as an assistant coach. Chris Bryant, formerly of the Cubs, went there, and Jay Johnson recruited him. And now Rich Hill is the head coach at the University of Hawaii. But that's the guy he talks to once a week, twice a week, that kind of thing. And I played for Rich Hill my sophomore year in college. After my sophomore year at LSU, played for him in the Cape Cod League, and we won the championship that year. So I've had a connection with Rich, and we've got some other connections. So that we went to lunch a few times, and we've kept in touch. And I think Jay's fantastic. He's a mini Nick Saban, maybe a little friendlier than Nick, but and what I mean by that is he's got no kids. He's full bore baseball, recruiting. He's no nonsense. He's very detailed oriented. Very, a lot of, up to the minute, a lot of meetings and just dots his I's and crosses his T's. And no one's going to outwork him. No one's going to out-hustle him. I think LSU's got themselves a good one, and the program's in great hands.
Well, I look forward to Northwestern State increasing their winning streak over LSU baseball to 3 in a row come this spring. Very much looking forward to that, to be honest with you.
Well, that was dirty of Northwestern State to get P money. So he had his 1,500th win celebration ready to go.
Yep.
And you guys clipped them on that last regular season midweek game of the year and kept the celebration for the weekend.
And ruined his opportunity to get his first ever perfect midweek record.
That's right.
He was undefeated midweek until the Demons came in. Ronnie, you just don't bet against Bobby Barbier. That's all I'm saying. Bobby Barbier just
who, by the way, got an extension. Congratulations.
Yeah, just got himself an extension. All right, one more thing about the Hall of Fame before we let you go. Everything is back on schedule. Back in June, your normal date. Kind of give us an idea for folks. You mentioned there's so many events that are surrounding it. Where can people, just the general public, if you either can't get to the actual ceremony on Saturday, what can the general public be involved in?
Yeah, a lot of different things. I mean, go to lasportshall.com, our website, follow us on Facebook or any social media stuff, and keep up with us. But if you go to lasportshall.com, you click on our events tab, and it'll show you all the different things we have next June. Some of them are free, some of them, have a fee, but they're all fantastic and well worth it. And we've got a full calendar. I mean, we've got a upcoming next. We've got a golf tournament in Baton Rouge at the University Club Golf Course that David Tom's designed, and at LeBairs Casino, big giant rooftop party the night before. That'll be in November 15th and 16th, and you can get tickets and play in that event, meet the celebrities and Hall of Famers in this class and past classes as well. We'll do another golf event in the spring. We're eyeballing some courses in North Louisiana, so we'll keep you posted on that. And then we've got some other events and things that are going to pop up honoring these Hall of Famers. I know we've got something in the works at UL for Tony Rova's show and elsewhere. So we'll keep you posted on that. But go to lasportshall.com. You can get all the ticket info for next June. And, these events will sell out. So the sooner you want to come, the better. Go ahead and get your tickets ahead of time.
And if you want to see Ronnie Rantz's heavily photoshopped face, that's the place to go check it out. Man doesn't have a blemish on him. That is,
it's amazing.
Impressive.
You kind of overdid it a little bit, the guy.
Maybe.
It was a little much.
You really, honestly, it's kind of a thirst trap on Instagram is what it is. You used a real heavy filter on that Instagram photo trying to thirst some of the ladies out there. Yeah. So good work, my friend.
I'll have to upload it to Bumble. See if
there you go. That a baby. Hey, Ronnie, always great to chat with you, man. Congrats on the new class coming in. Be ready. I'll be hounding you about Rogers Hampton Sr. before too long, brother.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let me give you Doug Ireland's number. You can call him about that.
Speaking of, congrats to Doug Ireland. But man, what kind of standards are y'all setting over there? If you're putting Doug Ireland in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, you clearly have gone downhill.
It really well deserved by Dougie, but
Yeah.
you know, he's got some health issues. We had to get him in there.
There you go. There you go. All right, brother. Enjoyed it, my friend,
Thank
and
you,
we
Pastor.
look forward to catching up with you down the road.
See you, buddy.
Ronnie Rantz, the CEO and president of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Foundation.